Just 24 minutes away from the relentless energy of Shanghai, lies a city that has been moving to its own quiet rhythm for over 2,000 years. Welcome to Suzhou, a world carved out of rivers, stone bridges, and classical gardens. This is a place that looks less like a modern city, but more like a living watercolor painting. The transition from modern to ancient is pretty seamless here. For about $4, this train whisks you across the countryside at 300 kilometers per hour. In exactly 24 minutes, the glass skyscrapers completely vanish and you step out into a totally different era. When you land at Suzhou Station, ignore the crowds heading towards the main exits, walk out of South Square instead. The moment you step outside, you are greeted by Suzhou's 800-year-old welcoming committee, a massive ancient city wall, and a grand moat. Right at the exit, there is a small local water bus station. Skip the pricey tourist cruises. This public water bus costs next to nothing and takes you directly into the heart of the old city through the historic canal network. There are two routes available right now. One goes to the famous humble administrator's garden, and the other goes to Xiyuan Temple. I have left the schedule and prices right here on the screen for your screenshot. Gliding along the canal gives you a completely different angle of the city. You are looking at life from the water, not the street. I finally get why Marco Polo called this place the Venice of the East when he first saw it. On a warm summer afternoon, sitting by the boat window is pure bliss. It's not just a transit, it's the living cultural experience. I'm getting off at Xiyuan Temple. This is a sanctuary bypassed by the massive tour groups, leaving it wonderfully peaceful. Locals come here to clear their minds, make wishes, and hang out with the resident temple cats. Local youth actually call it the kitty temple because there are so many cute chubby cats everywhere. Entry is just 5 yuan, less than $1, and they give you 3 incense sticks for free at the gate. If you want to try, you can light them at the candles, gently fan the flame out, hold them parallel to the ground at forehead level, make your wish, bow, and place them in the grand incense burner. A pro tip for visiting Chinese temples is when you pray, silently tell the Buddha your ID number and where you are from, just so he knows exactly who you are and doesn't lose your wish in the cosmic queue. And before doing anything else, you have to try their traditional vegetarian noodles. It's only about $2, but this simple bowl is packed with different fresh mushrooms and deep savory flavors. I like adding a dash of local vinegars to cut through the richness. It's completely vegetarian friendly and honestly tastes like pure mindfulness. Honestly, Xiyuan might be the most beautiful temple in China because it's in Suzhou, the capital of Chinese gardens, and the architecture and space design are on another level. Unlike typical temples, it features massive, vibrant yellow walls that makes every shot look like art. Afterward, head into the temple tea house. You can order local tea here, but the real draw is the Suzhou copy room. The moment you step in, the silence hits you. In a world full of digital noise, watching people quietly choose Asian characters stroke by stroke feels like a beautiful necessary reset. I actually wanted to copy a sutra myself today, but I didn't check the dress code beforehand and wore something inappropriate. If you plan to do this, make sure your shoulders and knees and backs are covered. You can screenshot the rules right here. Instead, I ordered a cold brew tea for 18 yuan, sat quietly, and wrote down my thoughts. It felt amazing just to be on the same peaceful frequency as everyone else in the room. On my way out, I read a quote on the temple wall that I really want to share with you. Where does human insecurity come from? It comes from internal anxiety and an overdependence on the outside world. In this constantly changing universe, what is truly permanent for us to rely on? Food for thought. As the sun begins to dip around 4 p.m., make your way to Tiger Hill. Long before the Leaning Tower of Pisa gained worldwide fame in Europe, China completed its own leaning masterpiece right here. The Tiger Hill Pagoda has been gently tilting for over 1,000 years due to the shifting soil beneath it. Built in the 10th century, it is one of the oldest and largest brick pagodas in existence. The top of the tower deviates from the center by nearly 2.5 meters. To stop it from falling over, modern structural engineers actually had to inject a new foundation underneath it, preserving its iconic 4-degree lean. It's the ultimate symbol of ancient Suzhou. Also, there is a profound sense of myth and weight here. Take the salt pool, a narrow, deep body of water that never dries up. Legend says that an ancient king called Hurried was buried underneath this pool, surrounded by 3,000 legendary bronze swords. For centuries, tomb raiders tried to drain it, but found nothing. Then, in 1955, during a government dredging project, workers drained the pool and discovered a hidden human-shaped stone cave at the bottom. Behind the massive stone slabs, there was a halo echo, almost certainly the actual entrance to the royal tomb. What makes Tiger Hill so special is its sheer scale. It's a massive park full of hidden pavilions and dense greenery. Unlike the crowded commercial gardens in the city center, you can easily find a quiet, empty corner here to just sit and absorb the architecture. If you want stunning portraits without random tourists in your shot, skip the famous gardens and come here instead. For dinner, I'm hitting up a tiny local joint called Guanxiu 12 Dishes, named after the historical street it sits on. I tried their signature salted pork vegetable rice and a traditional lion's head, which is essentially a giant, incredibly tender pork meatball, and a savory bamboo shoots. This is a pure Chinese comfort food. Afterward, I popped next door for a classic Suzhou sweet porridge. It's a velvety hot rice porridge topped with thick, sweet red bean paste. People in Suzhou are famous for their sweet tooth, and this dessert is pure comfort. It's sweet, sticky, and perfect. When the night falls, the character of the city completely shifts. If daytime Suzhou belongs to the travelers, the night belongs to the poets. I took a quiet boat ride along Shiquan Street as the red lanterns lit up, casting a warm, glowing reflection on the dark water. Gliding slowly under centuries-old stone bridges, you instantly realize why this exact scenery inspired generations of ancient Chinese writers. We are ending our evening at the Master of the Nest Garden for their traditional night tour. You can easily reserve a ticket ahead of time through the WeChat mini program for about 120 yuan. The next garden is one of the smallest and most intimate classical gardens in the city, but at night, it feels like stepping straight into a dream. As you wander through the interconnected county yards, soft strategic lighting reveals hidden pavilions. From different corners, the live sounds of classical instruments drift through the air. A flute here, a guqin there, and finally you stumble upon a live Kunqu opera performance right by the water. Let's enjoy together for a while. It's 10 p.m. now and I'm heading back to the hotel. I'll see you at dawn tomorrow. Day 2 requires a 6 a.m. alarm, but trust me, it's worth a wake-up call. We are heading straight to the humble administrator's garden. Normally it opens at 7:30 a.m., but during the peak summer heat, they moved the opening time up to 6:45 a.m. Tickets are around 70 to 80 yuan depending on the season. If you get here early, you get 500 years of architecture genius completely to yourself before the tour groups arrive at 8 a.m. This is the grandest garden in Suzhou, built by a high-ranking imperial official named Wang Xiancheng after he was abruptly fired from his political life. He named it as a sharp, sarcastic statement on his retirement. He was essentially telling the emperor, I might suck at your court politics, but look, I can build a better, more perfect universe in my own backyard. If you visit, pay close attention to the windows. The design here is all about framed views. Every single window is positioned to act as a picture frame for nature. Also, if you are here in summer, you get to experience the lotus season. Ancient Chinese culture obsessed over the lotus because it grows out of the mud but remains pure and elegant. Right nearby the Taohuawu neighborhood, there is a local lotus flower market, and the entire street is lined with vendors selling fresh lotus stalks. They arrange them beautifully, and a massive bunch only costs about 20 to 30 RMB, roughly $3 to $4. I bought a gorgeous bunch for 25 yuan to take back to Shanghai with me. After the market, I hailed an electric rickshaw to my next stop. Back in the day, these are human-powered, but now they are fully electric and super convenient. I'm heading to the Suzhou Silk Museum. For thousands of years, the silk woven in this city was so precious, it was used as actual currency and reserved strictly for royalty. Historically, to the rest of the world, silk was China, charting the famous Silk Road all the way to Europe. The museum keeps its heritage alive, and it blew my mind to see how incredibly sophisticated silk textiles were even 2,000 years ago. And the best part? You can watch master artisans operating massive historical wooden looms and physically touch the raw, incredibly soft texture of premium silk. It's history you can actually feel. It was completely uncrowded today, meaning you can take your time and really absorb the vibe. By the time I walked out, I was starving. I found a local soup dumpling spot called Wu Shengxin, where you can watch the staff hand wrapping dumplings at the counter. First, I ordered a traditional Suzhou-style chilled mung bean soup. It's infused with fresh mint, so it's incredibly refreshing and instantly kills the summer heat. When the xiaolongbao, the soup dumpling, arrived, they actually served me with straws. The dumplings are so filled with rich, savory crab rolls that you have to insert a straw, sip the soup out first, and then eat the dumpling itself. It's such a fun, delicious food mechanic. Our final afternoon is spent around the Pingjiang Road. I highly recommend entering from the south gate on Ganjiang East Road so you can check out the Stone Steel Pavilion. Inside is a map of the city carved 800 years ago, and the narrow canals and stone lanes you are walking on today follow that exact medieval grid out perfectly. The main path can get quite lively, but the true magic of Suzhou lies in its side alleys. If the main street feels too touristy, just turn a corner into the side alleys. The crowds instantly vanish, replaced by a quiet stone path, ancient residential homes, and the slow, beautiful pace of the local neighborhood life. I stopped by a tiny traditional tea house recommended by locals. For just 10 yuan, less than $1.50, you can sit here and listen to Pingtan, a traditional style of Suzhou musical storytelling, for the whole 2 hours. The show started at 1 p.m. and the room was completely packed. I even spotted 3 international travelers in the back. I have no idea how they found this place because absolutely no English is spoken here. And when you pay your 10 yuan, they hand you a cup with loose tea leaves, and you can refill it with hot water infinitely. Let's take a listen. To be completely honest, I can barely understand the lyrics myself. The local Suzhou dialect is completely different from Mandarin, but you don't need to understand the words to feel the haunting, elegant emotion in the melody. As I head back to Shanghai, these 2 days in Suzhou reminded me that the best travel experiences aren't about rushing to check off every single famous site. When I designed this itinerary, I asked myself what I truly wanted. No massive crowds, no exorbitant prices, just a journey that allows you to slow down and truly interact with the history and culture. And that's exactly what it was. Watching cats at a hidden temple, eating a $2 bowl of vegetarian noodles, sitting in a silent room to clear my mind, and finding an empty corner beneath a 2,000-year-old leaning tower. It meant waking up at 6 a.m. to have a historic palace to myself, buying a fresh lotus from a street market as my favorite souvenir, and spending an hour watching how real silk is woven and listening to a local opera where I couldn't understand a single word but could feel every ounce of emotion. It's a journey that leaves me feeling lighter, grounded, and deeply inspired. Thank you for wandering through this watercolor world with me. If you enjoy this slower, more thoughtful look at China, please hit that subscribe button for more real, unfluffed journeys. Until next time, take care of yourself.